All right, everyone, thank you for coming today. This is Bill. He's our lawyer at the MSA. So welcome, Bill, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Natalie.
Go over the student government grants. So if you have any questions, just plop them in the chat bar, and we just ask that you're muted for the time being, and then we can get questions at the end. Bill, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. So a little bit of background. The government has always had, at least always within our memory, the employment insurance system. And that was for employees who lost their jobs after working for a required length of time and lost their jobs, how quickly and how much they would receive depended on circumstances, including whether they lost it from any fault of their own. But in any event, the employment insurance system we've been very familiar with. When the COVID-19 pandemic began in earlier on this year, and there came to be the government shutdowns and all, the government was aware that people were unable to work, and so the government fairly quickly implemented the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. And the Canada Emergency Response Benefit was for people who had been working and had to have been working like to a certain amount within certain periods of time, and had lost their income or had it drastically reduced. And people who met those qualifications qualified for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. So the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, some students qualified for because they had been working and had made enough money within the required time to show that they qualified for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. And that included international students because they were eligible for it. They are. The Canada Emergency Response Benefit is still operating. And so people who qualified for it, including both international and domestic students, have been able to receive that. Some students, of course, would not have been working, and that was up to the individual. Some students who were completing their programs or just enrolled were not working or had not been working enough to qualify for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. So around the end of May, the government implemented the Canada Emergency Student Benefit. And the difference there is that to apply for the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, you had to be able to show that you were a student in the winter semester or over the summer, or had completed a program as recently as December 2019, December or subsequently. And if you qualified as a student in that sense, and if you were not making much money at this time, then you qualified for the Canada Emergency Student Benefit. And I should say qualified for it because it is also still operating. The thing is that for that, it's the student aspect that you have to prove. You don't have to have been working over some previous time. So the Canada Emergency Response Benefit for those who had been working, whether students or otherwise, the Canada Emergency Student Benefit for those who were students, whether they were working or not, both have been in place since earlier in the year. The Canada Emergency Student Benefit, the difference being also that it was not available to international students. International students can only qualify under the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, showing that while in Canada as international students, they had needed badly enough to work that they had been working and had made a certain amount of like threshold income. So the government still realized that there was a shortage of income opportunities for students. And they felt that, sure, you know, they could be providing the Canada Emergency Student Benefit to students who weren't able to work, but they thought, as another option, let students volunteer in positions that would normally be volunteer and unpaid, but in ways that might assist in dealing with the COVID-19 situation. And the government felt that they would provide another kind of benefit to students who are not working but can volunteer. And that is what gave rise to the Canada Student Service Grant. So the Canada Student Service Grant, Natalie, am I able to change slides or do you need to?
I have to. So do you want me to go back to the first slide or the second one?
The Canada Student Service Grant, like the white one-headed Canada Student Service Grant, because right now we have the half red, half white up. So there we okay. Oh, here we okay. All right. So if we go, to the next one from what is shown here, headed Canada Student Service Grant. Can I go to that one?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there we are. Yep. We're good. Okay.
Got it?
So thank you. So Natalie, I'm gonna, like I say, kind of run through this because of what's happening presently with the program, but I've lost the slide.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry.
It's okay. There we are.
There we go.
Okay. So we might change slide again soon, but for now I'll mention. So the Canada Student Service Grant, I put together this presentation because I have done it at other schools because I do the same thing at a few different student unions, and I have made this presentation, and it's an overview of the details of this program, and we will run through them. The problem is that the government, and people who have listened to the news may have heard this, the government partnered with a charity called We Charity to administer this grant. And the government and We Charity have terminated that arrangement. So right now there's no one administering this program. And for a while after that happened, when I checked the website, it was still available. People could still look for volunteer opportunities and all, but now the website is not operating, and it says that, sorry, the whole program is not operating. So I'm going to kind of run through the same details of the program and the expectation that the government may still find a way to administer it, and believing that if they do, they probably will leave all of these details much the same. So let's go through and talk briefly about what the government envisioned when it set up the Canada Student Service Grant. And we can see then in time whether the government is able to go ahead with it. If they're not able to, then this is why I've kind of summarized about the CERB and the CESB as well as EI, because those programs are operating smoothly. And, and the government is extending them for some time. So let's talk briefly about what the government intended here with the CSSG and have an idea, if it is revived, what the terms will be. As I mentioned, the participants need to be students. They need to, similar to the CESB, they must be attending post-secondary education in the spring or summer, or going back in the fall, or must have completed a program in December or subsequently, or they may be enrolled in studies abroad and presently living in Canada. This would happen like students who, as many students historically have done, chose to go to a post-secondary institution outside of Canada and had to come home because of the COVID-19 situation. And so if a student is enrolled at another school outside of Canada, but is presently in Canada and doing the studies remotely, they also may qualify for the CSSG. So a current student in Canada, a current student out of Canada, but living in Canada, or someone who has completed in December or subsequently. And we can move on to the next slide. The placements, again, the whole idea here is that it's not situations that would normally qualify as employment. It's situations that would normally be volunteer, and that the government has decided to pay students for. And again, it's not the place where the student is volunteering, not the agency that's going to pay the students. It is the government who is paying the students to volunteer with volunteer agencies. Pardon me. So the placements must be with a not-for-profit organization, not a business, not a for-profit business of any kind, but a not-for-profit organization, which can include a charity. Not all not-for-profits have charitable status. Not all not-for-profits are charities, but some are. So a not-for-profit, which may be a charity, but not a business. They must be in Canada, and they must in some way support Canada's response to COVID-19. That's all the wording that the government provided, was that the opportunities must support Canada's response to COVID-19, because they had this charity lined up to administer the program, and the charity was supposed to be kind of like the gatekeeper, the ones who determined which opportunities would qualify. And we don't need to go on yet to the next slide. But, but the charity would decide which placements qualified and put them on the website, and not put up ones that didn't qualify. So, and they were supposed to be the ones to decide whether each placement qualified in that sense. The placement, it might be full-time, you know, it could be 5 days a week for a certain number of weeks or whatever. It doesn't have to be. It has to be at least 2 hours per week for at least 4 weeks. So a student might certainly be placed in more than one volunteer situation, maybe only one, but possibly more than one. The placement must meet all public health requirements, and as we know, there have been requirements imposed by the whole COVID-19 situation. The wearing of masks and other personal protective equipment, and social distancing, and a lot of things that, depending upon the kind of organization, it had to follow. So the placement must also meet all of those, all of the regular public health requirements, as well as the additional ones that relate to COVID-19. And so that, I've shown here the website. Unfortunately, that website is not presently working. And that's why I'm going through the requirements in the hope that it's good to be aware and see whether it functions again in time to come. The government already had a Canada Service Corps placement program, and some students might be registered with that, and if they are, then they were eligible to receive the Canada Student Service Grant. Like I say, it's all on hold for the moment. But now we can go on to the next slide. The whole idea was that eligible students would receive $1,000 for every 100 hours that they completed, to a maximum of $5,000 for 500 hours. And the good thing, it was always a good thing, and it's especially a good thing now, is that there was a kind of a generous time frame on it, requirement to register by August 21st, gives time to complete the hours between June 25th and October 31st, and then to submit the proof of hours by November the 6th. So there's still, and if the government's able to get the program back on the rails, even without changing this time frame, and they may not because it already extends into the fall, there is lots of time really to register. There's still over 3 weeks in which to register. 3 months to complete the hours, and a few more days in which to submit them. So there is the chance to earn, pardon me, to earn $1,000 for every 100 hours of volunteer work, or as much as $5,000 by doing 500 hours. So that's a summary of what was intended with the Canada Student Service Grant and what was kind of already underway. I'm pretty sure the government wants to get it back on track. So let's see what they end up doing, but at least we have a summary of it. Having said that, the programs that are still presently open to students, the Canada Emergency Response Benefit for students who qualify by having worked before the pandemic, and that may include international students. The Canada Emergency Student Benefit for domestic students, including those with refugee status and those with indigenous status. And they just have to be enrolled or recent graduates. So like I said, the whole idea of the Canada Student Service Grant was to give students who might otherwise be receiving one of those programs, one of those benefits, give them the chance to earn money by volunteering for pay. It's not operating right now, but hopefully they'll bring it back on stream, and for the time being, those students would qualify likely for either the CERB or the CESB. So that really is all I know as of today. And I'll be keeping my eye on what the government does with this program. I'm hoping that they'll get it back on stream and do so quickly. And we will try to notify students if it's back on stream. We will try to find a way to say, hey, let's get together and Zoom again and tell you what's happening. But as of today, that's all that's happening.
Thank you so much, Bill. If anybody has any questions, just try to use the raise your hand function in your chat or participant function, or you can put them in the chat box and I'd be happy to relay them to Bill, or Bill can see them as well.
And Natalie, what about my email address?
Yes, I'll also put that in the chat as well.
Because if anybody is applying for any of these benefits and has any difficulty, please feel free to email me. If you have any other legal issues, the legal service is operating throughout the summer and throughout the upcoming fall term. And it is, sorry, I've lost something here.
Sorry.
There we are, okay. The legal service is operating, and so certainly I'm available by email. And Natalie, did you put my email address then?
I'm working on it.
Oh, you are? Okay, all right. Because I think I lost my picture. I lost something.
Oh, okay. I see you.
You do? Okay, well then something happened. I don't know what.
So I just put Bill's email in the chat. So yeah, like he said, feel free to email him if you have any questions, and he'll be able to help you out when he can.
And like I say, if the government gets things going again, we will try to notify students again and try to convene another Zoom where we can tell you, here's what's happening as of now.
Yeah, and if something does happen, I can always reach out to the people that attended today, just because you are interested, so we can send you more information or schedule another call with you guys. I don't see any questions. Does anybody have any questions for Bill? If not, if you do and you're nervous or scared and you don't want to ask, just email Bill. He'll be able to give you all the information that you need. Thank you again, guys, for coming. I will be giving out 2 $100 gift cards for the participants that have come today. So please check your email, and hopefully 2 of you will be the winner. So thank you so much, guys. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks, Natalie, and take care.